Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon as well for those that are in a different time zone. I'm Adama Sankhare. I work in Ericsson. I'm 32 years old. I'm a mother of three boys, 6 years old, 2 years old, and 3 months old, a little baby. And today I'm going to talk about my experience in Ericsson when it comes to diversity and when it comes to being a young leader, working in a very diverse environment, but also working with experienced stakeholders. So the way I'm going to go through this presentation is basically I will talk about a little bit myself as an introduction, and I will use my experience to share with you how many opportunities we have in Ericsson and how a young leader can be given the possibility to grow in this organization. So as I said, I'm Adama. I'm Senegalese. I'm 32 years old, and I started in Ericsson in 2007 as an engineer. So I did my engineering school in Senegal. I'm a French-speaking person, and I did all my study in French. And lately, I started to work in the IT industry as a computer science engineer doing software development and database administration. So I basically did 2 years in that industry. And at that time, I did work with international stakeholders, and I did improve my English speaking. I think I did have the opportunity in one of the company to just have a coach, English coach that was coming twice a week to have conversational course with us. So then I think just by looking into the intranet and so on, I saw Ericsson, and I don't know at that time what motivated me really to apply to Ericsson, but from my perspective, it was more about, oh, this is quite the big company. It's international. So let me see if I can try to get into that company. So 6 months later, I was called and I did the interview. It was somebody from Pakistan, I think, that did the interview. The country manager was a French-speaking person, but I did not met him. So all my interview and my recruitment was done by my first manager that was from Pakistan, but based in Senegal. And I joined the company. I did not have any notion of telecommunication because at my time, the courses or the curriculum I went through when it comes to computer science did not include telecommunication. We did a little bit of electronic and really high level of introduction as well of telecommunication. That's it. So but they did give me the opportunity, and basically they just gave me the tools and the possibility to learn a lot about what's telecommunication. And also we are now moving into an ICT industry, so it was not really a big difference when it comes to the baseline. So that's how I get into Ericsson. And I mean, the first thing that you realize when you get into such a company is, wow, how many people and how many different people am I meeting? Because the fact is, even if it was based in Senegal, which is in West Africa, we had several people coming from different part of West Africa, basically Ivory Coast, also Nigeria, and also people coming from across the world. I mean, all over the world. We had our country manager, I think, that was originally from France. Later, we have had a country manager that is Swedish. We also have had American. We had a lot of people sitting there in Senegal, in my own country, but coming from different horizons. So it was amazing for me. And the other thing from a culture perspective is, despite we had very different origin and the very different cultures, we all embrace the Ericsson culture. And that's what is making Ericsson quite unique, because If I can give you an example of how is the dynamic when you are young in an organization in my own country, Senegal, we have this culture of being very polite towards the elders. So even if you work with like somebody that is the age of your dad or your mom, you would call him tonton or tata, which is a way to say uncle or aunt in a very polite way in French. So even in the public services, you will hear people working together, but the youngest will call the elders tonton or tata, and also you will have this natural situation where you really need to be polite towards them and obedient as well. So even in the work, you will not be able to raise your voice or raise your concern towards somebody that is elder than you. So that's the situation, and it is changing with time, but it's still reality when it comes to our traditional offices or where you don't have a lot of mix. But in Ericsson, I mean, from start, personally, I was very shy to call somebody that is elder than me by his name, because even in French, you will say Mr. or Mrs. and so on. But in Ericsson, everybody will call everybody by its name. So you just embrace this culture. And of course, you will be in meetings where you are the younger. At that time, I mean, 7 years ago, I was like 25, 27 years old, and I would be in meetings where everybody are elder than me, and I would be able to speak up and to share my view, and they will listen to me. So a lot of respect towards each other, and also people will look at you as a professional, not like as a little lady that just came in from nowhere. So that's the first impression that you will get, that oh, my voice or my quality or skills are really valued here. So moving forward into this situation where you're really given the opportunity to grow into this organization. The other thing is there is so many situation where you can be given the possibility to drive things or to control things end to end, that it's just amazing. So very early as an engineer, I realized that I could make a difference. I could meet my customers myself. I could actually impact the deliveries that we were doing, because it was on the delivery perspective, and I could do things end to end as far as it's on the field of my responsibility. And wherever it was going beyond, of course, I could say, oh, guys, I need help here. I would tap into anybody that on which I from home I need help. And I mean, it's nothing like a lot of hierarchical situation where you can't just go and talk to somebody sitting in the headquarters here in Africa or in Sweden. It's really about what people can do, or what tools and processes they can put in place, or they can open up for you to work at your best, or to perform at your best in this organization. So I did a lot of engineering work for 1 year, and then I was given the opportunity to change units. And again, another perspective into how this company works is that your life is important, and it's not like you just working and nothing else is important. Whenever you have situation that required a change in your assignments, or you expose situation to your leadership or your management, they will listen to you. So in my case, for example, for 1 year I was traveling around going to customer and doing installation. And I really felt that from a work-life balance, it was not working, because I just got married. I joined Ericsson in June, and in August I got married. But for 1 year, it was like sometimes I would say, on total, I would say that I stayed like 2 months only with my husband. So it was like I would go for 1 month and a half, come for 1 week, and go back. So this works well for few times, but after a while you just feel that something is missing. So then I expose it to my managers and they say, okay, this is fine. You can look for opportunities. And at that time, they were opening the customer support unit, that is like a central unit. So less travel, even if you will still travel, but less travel. So, I mean, what I did when this unit was being set is I just genuinely went to the new manager that came in like 2 days. After 2 days, I just went in and say, okay, hello, my name is Adama. I heard that you are the new manager for the support, for the remote support, and I'm quite interested to join your team. And at that time, this manager just told me, "Oh, it's my second day, and I have no idea how I will set up this team and so on. It will be completely new in Africa or in Senegal because they were opening the French remote support. We had a unit in Nigeria, so he told me, "Give me your CV, and I will get back to you." And that's how I became the first employee of that unit, because when he started to set up the team, he just thought of me and he called me, did the interview and say, yes, I think you have the engineering background and everything, and I need your support because you already know the dynamic of how the company is working, at least in this location. So that's how I become an engineer in the support, in the remote support, and very quickly he gave me a lot of responsibility in terms of being like a leader towards my other colleagues engineer, and also promoting a lot the ways of working, defining processes and so on and so forth. So really exciting time. It was great for all of us, me and also my other colleagues. We had different people coming from different origin, as I said again, and we created this unit from scratch, and it worked very well. And inside this organization, through 3 years, and I would say it's not really big span. I grew from being an engineer, a support engineer, from being a service to being a service delivery manager, and then the last 2-3 years I did got the opportunity to be a customer support manager, which is basically being head of the remote support for one of the account. And I was dealing actually with the biggest account and the most complex account in Africa. So it was a great opportunity. And on that one again, I would just say, just to talk about how our leadership is betting on potential, and not looking at only age and experience. Of course, experience is important, but the fact is what they are considering is what you bring as value on the table. How well can you deliver in terms of result, and how well can you adapt to change, and how fast can you learn. So they will consider all this and they will give you great opportunity. So at the time when I was given this opportunity to be head of customer support in Ericsson for one of the biggest customer, I did not thought of even applying. My manager got another opportunity and he was leaving, and for me it was obvious that it will be some other experienced people that will come, because my manager did this role for almost 7 years at that time, and he had a lot of background, lot of experience within Ericsson, did a lot of countries and a lot of continent. So for me, it was no way that I would get such an opportunity, and I even did not apply. So what happened is that the recruiter, or his manager at that time, just called me one day, and I was like, wow, why my N plus the two will call me? And he was like, did you consider applying for this job or for this role? And I was like, no. And he just told me, I think you have the potential and you should consider to apply. And I could not believe it. And he gave me some facts and told me, you've been doing very well. And he really gave me the courage to say, okay, let me put my CV there. But still, I was not thinking that I will apply. And the recruitment process is quite strict. You will go through assessment, you will talk to HR, you will talk to the manager recruiting, but you will talk to other stakeholders as well, with whom you will functionally work. And at the end of this whole process, they did chose me instead of other of my colleagues that were more experienced, and colleagues from all around the world that was looking forward to get this opportunity. Just to tell you that it's not about age, it's more about um, your potential first, or your potential, and as well your quality in terms of somebody that works. So if you work well, you'll get great opportunities in Ericsson, and if you deliver a result, of course, the sky is the limit. So basically, that's what happened on this role, and I took it. And after few months, actually like 3 months, and so I did get this situation where the customer was asking for. Actually, it was immediately when I got the role. The customer was asking for me to be located in a different country. So for those that don't really know Africa, you will look at it like maybe United States, where you have very different states, and you would do 8 hour or 9 hour of flight between the different states. So here it's different countries, and I was being requested to move from Senegal in West Africa to the East Africa in Kenya, Nairobi. So it's a 9 hour flight if you take a direct flight, so west to east. And I'm a woman, I'm married. At that time I had one boy, my first boy, and it was a very challenging decision. But I was given the possibility to say yes, I'm taking it, or no, I would just stay home, because it's not possible for a woman. Luckily, I have a very supportive family, and my husband as well is very supportive. He's a medical doctor, so we discussed it, and he said this is a great opportunity. Why would you let it go? So talk to your management and maybe tell them that you want to go for 6 months, and then you will take your final decision. So that was the arrangement. So I decided to move alone to Kenya, Nairobi, for 6 months. Every 2 months, I could go back home to see my family, and then or they could come to visit me. And you can imagine, for a new role as a leader, I had several people under me, and I also had a very difficult customer that had a different culture, and that at the beginning did not trust that a young lady or a young woman can deal with such demanding type of role, because remote support is 24/7. You need to be always available, and you deal with emergency. So anytime a system is down, you need to be awake, and you need to be dealing with all sort of situation, be it that the engineers are not delivering quick enough, or the CEO of the customer is asking for feedback, or internally as well, our leadership are asking what's happening and how quick can we reset the system. So that's what happened in the first 6 months, and basically I got a lot of support from my team, and also from my management. So just to give you an example, at one point in time, my customer did not trust that I could deal with them, or they were not really mindful. I can even say that they were really mean to me. I would call them for a meeting, and they would ask me, will your boss be in that meeting? I'm like, no, because he's dealing with the whole region and all the accounts, and I'm dedicated to your account. And they would say, if he's not in that meeting, there is no need for us to come. Make sure that he's coming. And for me, it was very, very shocking the first time they did it to me. And I went back to my manager and I say, okay, I'm having a bit of a challenge, because they don't want to have a face-to-face meeting with me unless you are in that meeting. And he told me, no, they need to understand that you are their point of contact, and they need to deal with you. I will not go into that meeting. If they don't want to deal with you, they will not have a meeting. And in the background, of course, he will call their CEO or their CTO, and he will talk to them you definitely need to deal with her. She's good enough. We chose her because she can do the job. So, I mean, of course, this go together with very good work, building trust with your stakeholders, of course. So what we were trying to do is whenever I commit into something like, okay, I will deliver this work within this time and with this quality, I make sure that my team do the best and deliver as per my commitment. So after a while, they just realize that there is no way to deal with Ericsson if they are not dealing with me, the person that was chosen to manage their account. So it was a great support for my management, because another manager would have just come and sit in that meeting and think that this is the way to support. But for my manager, it was more about, okay, I need to show them that this young woman can do the job and she can do it alone. She doesn't need me to back her up. That's one of the example. And another example that as well I can give is when, for example, we needed to deal with very complex offers or very complex negotiation. We were having all sort of experts coming from a different region or from headquarters. They would always involve me, and they would always listen to me, despite me being less experienced. But they would understand that from a regional perspective, I have much more visibility and I have much more background than they have. So definitely, I never felt any discrimination towards my age, towards the fact that I'm African, and towards the fact that I'm a woman. Just an anecdote. One of my friends was saying that somebody was um, relooking her capability or her skills, and she just told him that, look, I have all possibility to be discriminated. I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm different. So if I'm at the position where I am, it's because I should be really, really good. And I think that's what our leadership is considering when they give some of the opportunities, or when they push us to some of the challenges. Okay. Maybe just before I do a little bit of break and take some question, and then maybe I will elaborate in case some of the questions are related to some part I have discussed. I will also give you the last part of my experience in Ericsson so far, which is after 3 years as a head of customer support. I just got this opportunity, or I realized that I'm not learning anymore, because I went through all the ladders into this organization. The only opportunity I did not get was head of customer support for the region, which I got lately, but I declined. But I just decided that, okay, I want a 90-degree change in my career. Then I saw this job posted in commercial management related to driving a change management program, an internal program. And I say, okay, I'm gonna apply. I have no background on commercial management or sales, but I just say, okay, I'm interested. This is something I would like to learn and drive, so I will apply. And after my interview, and when I was being debriefed that I was chosen, the manager that was recruiting told me, the reason why I took you is because you had the right attitude. You were really passionate about the subject, and I think for a change management project, that's the type of thing that we're looking at. Of course, he did ask within the organization what's my background and how I work and so on, but he says the final decision was about that, because others were much more experienced than me, had background into this area, but he really liked the fact that I was interested about the project. So for the past 1 year, I've been doing this. I learned a lot. I came from scratch and just went into the online trainings. I had a very good coaching from my manager as well. And so far, I'm doing well, if I can say it. But it's all thanks to the support from my management, from the team, and from other stakeholders in different other units I'm working with. And I recently relocated to South Africa. So from Kenya, now I'm in South Africa, based in Johannesburg, and I recently got a promotion. So I did touch upon the fact that I got this opportunity to be head of customer support for the region, which I declined, but instead they gave me another leadership role to be leading a unit in commercial management, which I have started just a few weeks ago. So that's overall my experience within Ericsson, and it's not like I'm special or I'm somebody that is very smart. This happens every day in this organization. I have a lot of colleagues that are changing careers, getting promotion, or just being specialists in their field, like engineers that came in together with me in this organization. Some are still doing their work, but they are recognized as senior, and they are getting great opportunities to impact the growth of our company, and also the deals that we are having with our customers. Okay, so I will look at some questions and reply to them, and then maybe I will elaborate. So I'm having one question about what kind of experiences have you had working with others with backgrounds different from your own? Okay, so I think this is happening every time, because especially in the field where we are telecommunication and ICT, you can't know everything. And basically it's a lot of listening that is required. You need to understand the perspective of your counterpart, and even from that perspective as well, for when you start something, you need to understand who all you will need to be able to do your work. So I would say that there is no issue into interacting with stakeholders with different background or in different field. The only bottleneck can be that you do not figure out that you need their experience or their input. But when you ask, or when you have a very clear process that these are my stakeholders and these are the roles and responsibility and these are the input I need and the output we are looking for, it works very well. I hope I replied to the question. Then on second question, I have what kind of leadership efforts would you make to ensure a commitment to the diversity initiative or value? So diversity is very high in our agenda, and today, for the past 2-3 years, I think we have diversity target into our numbers, and especially from last year, 2014, this is being campaigned. So every leader is getting like trainings around diversity, around for example, gender bias, and you get tools and tips, things not to do when it comes to diversity, and things to do to engage in a diverse environment. And also we're having a lot of initiative into growing women into our organization, and get them above the middle management, because as you know, sometimes for women it's very difficult to get into higher levels and middle management due to different reason, or just an environment that is not helping. So where there is problem, the management really have some plan to move forward. Okay. Question number 3, tell me about a time you had to alter your work style to meet a diversity need or challenge. I would say, I mean, because at the end of the day, we have such a diverse environment, but that you even don't feel the impact. I mean, you can see that, for example, I am wearing the veil, and it has never been a question in my work. And I can tell you, even in my own family, it has been a big question when I was in university and I decided by my own that I want to just cover my head, because it's something that from a religious perspective I believe in. And my mom itself stayed for days and days without talking to me, because for her it was shocking. But in Ericsson, it has never been a question. And at that time, I remember in university, my dad told me, because I was asking for his blessing, and he told me, "Do you know that this is going to be a bottleneck? You will not be able to travel around. You will not be able to have some of the job you will look for." And that is completely actually wrong from my experience, because I got this great opportunity in Ericsson. I'm not discriminated at all. I think most of the people I interact with even forget about this difference. From a diversity perspective, I don't think that we need to change work style. I'm really authentic. I'm a woman. I don't work like a man. I definitely keep my authenticity, while it's more about result and about roles and responsibilities. So I don't think that we have cases where we need to adapt because of diversity. Not maybe on a positive way, where you may need to consider that, okay, this person is different, and this is consideration that we need to have. And this happen, for example, when it comes to events, when it comes to how to say, some things that we would organize in some countries. Then we will look at the country culture, and there will be discussion around what you can do or what you cannot do in a country, not to go beyond the boundaries. So these are things that you will consider, but otherwise you would just have a very professional way to deal with any situation without looking at other beliefs uh, or situation that are really on the person stand. Okay, that was a tough one actually. Then number 4, what does it mean to have a commitment to diversity? Okay, I think it's more about the agenda. You may agree or not with me, but it's really about making sure that we understand what diversity and inclusion means, and what all, how to say it, what are all the dynamics or the differences that we can have. So, in Ericsson, for example, when we talk about diversity, we are talking about gender, but it's not only about gender. We are talking about culture. We are talking about age. We are talking about being special in terms of, for example, special in capacity, and so on. So we're looking at all the differences that can happen, and how we can make sure that we are in an inclusive environment. So everybody feels that they have the opportunities and they can grow in this organization despite their differences. So that's, I think, what we mean by having a commitment to diversity. And of course, the commitment goes even towards numbers, because we're seeing that, okay, there is a lot of issue in getting women into middle management, and we say, okay, we want 1/3 of our leadership to be women. And of course, we will not do any discrimination towards man, but we will make sure that for the same background and the same skills and the same experience, if there is a possibility to take a woman for a job where there is a lot of men, then the woman will be given this opportunity. Uh, why is diversity and inclusiveness important to leadership? I think there is a lot of study on it, and from our perspective, it's because diversity will help growth first. Of course, we're in a company that is trying to make business, and the more a team is diverse, the more there is different angle and different views, and the more it has been studied that you will get the best out of this team. So it's not only about showing to the world that yes, it's a diverse organization, but it's also about getting the best from that organization. What is your definition of diversity? I think I've talked about it. So it's not only about gender or about, it's about difference. Any difference can be considered as a subject of diversity. And when we talk about inclusion, as I said, it's about making sure that whatever your background and whatever your specificities, physical or even from a mindset perspective, you have the opportunity and you are feeling you are not feeling excluded in this organization or wherever you are. How do you encourage people to honor the uniqueness of each individual? I think it's a lot about respect. It's really about understanding that people are different. I am different. You listening to me, each of you has a unique profile, a unique background. And once you understand that and you respect that, I think it's very, very easy to deal with each other without, as I say, going beyond the boundaries of each other. How do you challenge stereotypes and promote sensitivity and inclusion? I think, as I explained, all our leaders are going through trainings around diversity, around bias, around differences. And it's not about leadership only. I mean, leadership will lead by example, but we are rolling out this within the organization as well. So it's a sort of mandatory training that has happened this year, and everybody will go through it. And we are also doing sessions where different people just sit and discuss, because sometimes we may think that it's very obvious, but then when you discuss between in a diverse team, you just realize that, wow, we've been doing this and it's definitely not something that we should do in an inclusive environment. So we're having this breakout session in groups where we just discuss what we think is diversity, what are our challenges, how do we overcome it, and so on. So the dialogue is installed to make sure that everybody understands what is diversity and how we can work around it. What practical steps can an employer take to maintain a diverse workforce? So I think I talk about it as well. It's about being conscious on your numbers and on your diversity numbers. So as an employer, we maintain in Ericsson our diversity numbers in terms of generation diversity, in terms of gender diversity, and other numbers. And we set target on ourselves, like, okay, this is not good enough. For example, if we look at, for example, culture diversity, it's not a problem in Ericsson. We are representing almost everywhere, but maybe we will look at our leadership and say, oh, the culture diversity is not that good there. Most of them are coming from this country or from this background. Then we set a target to change this. Maybe not overnight, but there will be a timeline to change this. And it's the same in every field. Of course, there is priority. This year we will say, okay, we're looking at gender. That's the priority, and the other year we will revisit and say where do we have problem, and we will look at something else. So I think it's about, again, having it in the agenda, being conscious about your numbers, and having some target set to make sure that you improve your diversity numbers. What most surprised you about Ericsson? I think it has been a great experience. It's been 8 years now, and I think it's a learning culture. And I do like to learn. So for me, it's exceptional that every day you can learn something new. So that's what amazed me, and it goes to the extent where you feel like in one company you feel like you're moving from one company to another, because the units are very different. The how to say it, the fields or the expertise are really different. So if you are somebody that like changes or to be challenged, you can just feel that you're jumping from one company to another, doing something completely different, but given the opportunity to learn about it. So I think that's what amazed me about Ericsson even now. How did you deal with the different difficult type of people that you dealt with? I think one of my motto is making sure that I stay professional, and I always try to install a dialogue where I would explain that I'm here to support or for the best solution towards our wanted position or our ultimate objective. So it's a lot of communication, of course. It's you would face people that would not want to listen, and you better to tell them, okay, once you calm down, if it is in a crisis mode, let's have a cup of coffee and let's discuss. So I always try to keep very calm, very posed, because back in the time when I was working in like remote support, it was a lot of firefighting, and I can give you an example where, for example, on the phone, the customer will be yelling and shouting at me and complaining, and I would really remain very, very calm and very professional. And sometimes I would say, I want you to commit that this issue will be fixed in the next half an hour, and I would just be very, very, very gentle and say, okay, I understand your perspective, and I understand that this is very hot situation and it needs to be fixed, but practically I cannot commit into a half an hour. What I can commit on to is in half an hour I will give you an update, and in 1 hour and a half or 2 hours we should be able to get to the root of this problem and get it fixed. So definitely it's not easy, but I think it's about keeping being composed, and also making sure that you raise the flag towards your leadership that can support you when things go beyond your control. So I would always call my management and tell them this is happening. I think next half an hour it will come into your table because I could not, for example, commit to what the customer wanted. So this is a heads up, please support. And I will give them the rationale behind so that they will be quite aligned with me. And when the customer would get to them, we will have the same exact words towards them, even if we will be gentle and committing to some other things. But the root of what I've explained to the customer, because I gave them heads up, they will back me up. So I think that's my style in terms of the dealing with different stakeholders and difficult stakeholders. I hope I replied to that one. Then we have this question about what strategies have you used to address diversity challenges? What was the positives and negatives? I mean, when you talk about diversity challenges, I would love to get you elaborate a little bit. Maybe as I explained from myself, it was more about uh, feeling accepted by elder generation. And I think just by professionalism and making sure that I remain very focused onto the job, I did overcome it. And towards the people that are different, because of course I do have my own how to say it, judgmental thinking sometimes. I do keep a really open mindset, and that's how I try to overcome any diversity challenges. So I would go into a different country and I would not maybe accept the way of that the culture, but I would try to understand it, because there is a difference between understanding and accepting or buying into. So it can be different from your ways of thinking, but you need to be open mind enough to accept that people are different, and they have different cultures, they have different thinking, and they have different ways of doing things. So as far as you understand that this exists, then you can deal with it. Okay. Which diversity topic or issue do you feel is often overlooked in an organization? Uh, I would say because I have been part of a study. We were chosen to be advisor for our CEO, another great opportunity that we can have in Ericsson. So chosen from different countries or different locations within the world. We were five, and for 1 year we were supposed to deal with various subjects and advise our CEO Hans Versberg and his leadership. And one of the subjects that we worked on was, of course, diversity. And we went through all the diversity angles. And maybe one thing that we were not realizing, even when doing the study, is okay, how does the generation diversity look like? Because from my experience, for example, it was like, great, we're doing very well in generation diversity because I'm coming from Africa and it was a young generation that was hired almost in all the countries. So it was really looking great. But if you look at the overall numbers, you just realize that, okay, depending on the country or the continent, you may have a different, how to say, range of ages and who or which ages is in the leadership and how are we promoting the other generation to get to those levels and so on. So we just realized that this can be overlooked if we just base it on perception. So we worked on the numbers and we bring the numbers to the management, and it was a realization also that, okay, in some countries we definitely need to do something. It's because maybe it's aging society and they don't have a lot of young people. And unlike, for example, if you go in India, we have lot of young people that have a high position, and you would go in Sweden maybe because there we have a big legacy and a lot of experienced people that are in the generation, for example, Y or even earlier. So we just realized that if you don't take it by location and by specific unit, for example, you may overlook the fact that even if from a generation percentage it's good, but the balance, is it really balanced? Is it not that we have a lot of chunk of young people in India, but we don't have enough young people in Sweden? And it's not because the other generation is not good enough. It's again about the subject of the more your team is diverse, the more you will have a great performance. Which diversity topic? Oh, this I have replied. What is a typical day for Adama like? That's an interesting question. Okay, so my days change depending on what's happening, but I think that I would wake up very passionate every time. I'm a very positive person, so it's like, wow, new challenges, new things to happen. But already when I go to sleep, if I manage to have a good day without any urgencies and any call at night, then I would basically make sure that I have in mind what I need to do tomorrow. But instead of having it only in mind, I make sure that I put reminders on my laptop using notes or on my iPhone, so that my mind is free. I can focus on breastfeeding and I can have a good night. And then I would wake up, have my shower, listen to some music or some other things or a TED talk, and then I would go to office. And of course, on the way, I will look at my mails quickly to see if there is no non-urgency. But one of my motto is, if there is urgency, my team or the people will call me. They would not just wait for me to read mails and to reply. So generally, I would not really stress about, okay, checking the mails and so on. But if I feel free or if my husband is driving, I would look at the mail so that I can get ready and set my mind about the work. Then I would go at work, and generally I would go and I would start having meetings. So it's a lot of meetings in Ericsson, and you need to prioritize because generally everybody will think that they need you in the meeting. So sometimes take the time to give a call and ask the person, do you think I'm really needed in that meeting? Otherwise, if you don't mind, I will skip it. And if you need me, just get back to me or brief me. So that's one of the tips that we need to have in Ericsson, because otherwise you will end up going into meeting. So one typical day that I may have is just going from one meeting to another. And another type of day, like today, I did have meetings in the morning, and then I had some chat with my team, and then I had a shooting, some sort of videos that we needed to do around the programs that we are driving, because we're having like an internal TV shows that we broadcast every 2 weeks, just to make sure that all the employees are engaged and they know what's happening in the region. And in the afternoon, I had some escalations. I did talk to my boss, and I talked to my team. And then around 4 p.m., I said, okay, I need to go home because I need to have this broadcasting later with Triple E, and I need to face the traffic. So on the way back home, I had some calls as well. And then at home, I had a off for 2 hours with my kids before getting into this video. So that was my day. And as I said, it's really changing depending on the dynamics or what deals we are working on or what programs we are dealing with at the moment. Hope it was interesting day. What advice can you give a recent graduate female engineer seeking a job in a field that is male dominated? I think don't consider that a field that is male dominated is a bottleneck. It's about what you are passionate on. So if engineering is your passion, just go for it. I mean, I've been an engineer, and I mean, I even did not realize that I was in a male dominated field. It's just after reflection that I say, okay, at high school in a class of 20, we were only three, and they are still very close friends to me. And at university as well, we were quite small group of women. And then later one day, I was sitting in a very big meeting with a customer and Ericsson stakeholders, almost 30 people in a room in Nigeria. And I look around and I just realized I was the only woman. But it did not afraid me. I was really proud that I was that one woman representing the rest of our gender, sitting there and talking, and people were listening to me. So I don't think that being in a male-dominated environment is a bottleneck. Instead, it's something that is how to say it, an advantage for us, because we will be very visible, and if we are good at what we are doing, we will have an advantage towards our other counterparts that are male and that are maybe in the field. So just go for it if you like engineering or any other fields that people think that it's only for men. There is no jobs that are like gender discriminating. It's just in our mind, I think. And then the last question: how did you adjust to the challenges and demands of diverse cultures? I think, as I said, it's about open-mindedness and understanding that there is no unique way of thinking, there is no unique culture. And it's not about the fact that I'm coming from a background where everything was really diverse. I'm coming from a very squared type of background, where my country is 90% Muslim people, French speaking. We all do the same thing, and we all think that we have the greatest country of the world. But when I joined Ericsson, and I can tell you, I went through different phases, and I just realized that I cannot have stereotypes. And I need to be very open-minded to work with people. Just a simple example, and I mean, some people may disagree and so on, but initially, I used not to give hand, because in my culture or in Muslim religion, it's not recommended to give hand to male counterpart. But when I were in work, and it's not about Ericsson, I started to went from university. It was very easy. My friend knew that I don't prefer to grade with my hand, So they would just greet me with a hello. But I went into a professional environment where when you deal with your customer, it's really not nice when you, for example, welcome them for a meeting, and they gave you their hand to greet you, and you just say, sorry, I can't. So it would just create a situation where there is some sort of misunderstanding, or the customer is feeling frustrated from start and so on. So I reflect on myself and I say, even if my religion does not recommend it, this is work, this is professional, and if I want to just open the door to opportunities and a good relationship and a good interaction with my customer, I really need to make it easy for them. And I just decided that, okay, going forward, if it's in a professional environment, and for example, I'm the one hosting, definitely I will greet the hand of each and every people, just to set the atmosphere right, and have a good start of relationship. So this is one thing I've been doing, and I think it's again about being open-minded and adapt to this situation, and to a world where diversity is definitely a topic that we cannot overlook. Okay, if no other question, I think I would be doing some sort of conclusion. So about Ericsson, I think I've shared how great is this company, how diverse it is, and the fact that our leaders do look at potential, do look at your professionalism, do look at your skills, and what you bring on the table. And I have also shared with you my experience, but please keep in mind that it's not unique. It's the experience of everybody else into this company. I said that we have been 5 young person that was chosen last year to be part of this extremely interesting program, which is being part of the Young Advisory Board of our CEO, and this is happening since 2010. So there is a lot of people that went through this alumni, and these 5 people were coming from very different backgrounds. Some of us were engineers, some of us were coming from sales background, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the opportunity among others. So there is opportunities like this accelerate program for people joining newly. There is other opportunities about just giving the possibility to change something into your unit, like driving a change management program, or of course career opportunities. So that's Ericsson, and it's a really dynamic organization that I think is somewhere that anybody would like to do career. Of course, we have our own challenges, but the dialogue is here, and people understand each other in terms of differences. Uh, I think that would be one of my comment for the end. And another advice or comment I would say is, when it comes to age diversity, age does not matter. And I will say it again. What matters is the values that you bring on the table, how passionate you are about of your work or about what you're doing, and what keep you awake at night will define what you do towards your stakeholders and how you present yourself towards your stakeholders. So thank you very much for listening. I think if there is no other comment or question, I will be closing this session. But I thank IEEE Women in Engineering and Ericsson for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. And hopefully we will see a great outcome out of this session. Thank you so much, and bye.